Hi, my name is Haley. I'm here today with Chloe from North Star Goldens, and I'm just going to give you a brief training demonstration of the training that she's had. We've really enjoyed Chloe. She has a very fun, affectionate personality. Anyway, so we're just kind of going to give you a glimpse of what she's accomplished here at the North Star Training Academy. So our training program can basically be broken down into 5 main areas. There's socialization, house training, leash training, manners, and obedience commands. And the bulk of what I'm going to be showing you here today are the manners and the obedience commands, and I'll show you kind of what to expect with that and the hand signals and everything else. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first of our manners, basically anytime she approaches you, as an automatic behavior, I want her to sit right in front of you, and make sure that you maintain that behavior by not giving her attention or affection, giving her loves until she's sitting. And that does a couple things for you. Number one, it plants her in one place so she's not all around your feet. And the other thing is when her hind end goes down, then her eyes come up, and when her eyes look to you, then you have her attention. So automatic sitting for greeting. Her next manner is that when you feed her, she's expected to hold a stay until she's given a release before she can eat. Okay. Good girl. And that kind of sets the foundation of what the training program is all about. We're wanting to replace physical control with verbal control. And the more she looks to you for verbal permission to do everything that she wants to do and have everything that she wants to have access to, the more that's going to establish your bond and your place as her leader. And she's going to gain a lot of respect and security out of looking to you as a leader and looking to you for permission to do everything that she wants to do. So that's another one of her manners. Going right along with that is anytime she's allowed through any kind of a crate, coming in and out of a crate, going in and out of a doorway, she needs to have your verbal permission before she's allowed to go through. Stay. Good girl. And I'll briefly show you the same thing here at the door, what she's expected to do at the door. You can bear with me for a minute. Okay, here she is at the door. That's the bell that she's been taught to ring with her nose when she wants to let you know that she needs to go out to go potty. Okay. Good girl. Anytime you go through any kind of a doorway, sorry, that squeaky door. Okay, stay. Okay. Good girl. There. Come on. Okay, come on. Good. Sorry, that was a little shaky, but she's expected to hold a stay and wait for you to give her permission to come through. And that just does the same thing. It establishes you as a leader and gives you verbal control instead of having to rely on physical control, which is really, really important aspect of training for large dogs especially. So that's her manners. Another one of her manners is that she's expected to release things on command and actively open her mouth and drop it into your hand when you ask her to. And the command we use for that, good girl, is drop it. So, good girl. Drop it. Good girl. Good girl, drop it. And you want her to actively open her mouth and release it to you so you're not trying to pull or tug it out of her mouth. Because that's a bad habit to get into. You can get into some ferocious tug-of-wars doing that. Another one of her manners that she's been taught is to have a very soft mouth and to use her lips and her tongue to take food from your hand as opposed to her teeth. And if she ever gets grabby or competitive with other dogs or something, or is tempted to use her teeth, just remind her by saying gently, Good, gently, just like that. And we've worked very hard on that. She has a very, very soft, nice, soft mouth. And she's done well with that. As far as another aspect of the manners, especially if you have little kids, I really encourage you to teach them to use toys to play with her. Because dogs and puppies especially are very oral by nature, and if you play with toys, then that gives her something to put her mouth onto so she doesn't get tempted to grab clothes or knock kids down or something. She can focus all that play energy on the toys, and so that will help with that. So her obedience commands, we're going to go through 9 obedience commands for you. Come, sit, stay, down, stay, crate, drop it, watch me, and go to bed. Good girl. Good girl. There's 3 hand signals, and I'll show you where those are, but I'll go ahead and show you what the expectation is and the level that she's been trained to. Off. Good girl. Come. Okay, good girl. Good girl. So come is the first command, and come is a foundational command, meaning it's one of the commands we teach right from the very beginning. Sit. Good girl. And it's going to be one of your most important ones to maintain. It's usually the first one that people kill. And the reason for that is most people don't call their dogs to come to them unless they're going to do something that the dog inherently doesn't not like. For example, it's time to leave the park, or it's time to get away from whatever it is they're enjoying. So what I recommend is you use the rule of 10 to 1, which means that for 10 times a day or whatever, you call your dog to come for no reason other than just to give them a reward and to release them again, for every one time that you have to call your dog to come to you. And that helps maintain the integrity of the command. It helps it keep a positive thing, that you're calling them to come regularly, and it's very rewarding every time they come to you. And also something else too is if you know they're not going to like what you have for them when you call them to come. For example, it's time to clip you on a leash and go, and you know they're not going to like that. Unless you absolutely have to use the command come, I just don't use it. I just go and I clip on the leash and we go. Just as much as possible. You don't have to every time. But that helps maintain the integrity of that command as always being associated with positive things, and keeps it really, really strong and solid for you so she doesn't ever question that. Also, another thing too is when she's acclimating to a new family, I really recommend that you get a long leash and keep her on a long leash until she's 100% every time responding to you with come. And she's snappy about it every time, despite any kind of distractions or whatever, so that you can trust her to come back to you. Because what can happen is if you don't have a leash on and you call her to come and there's something heavily, heavily distracting like a cat or something, and she doesn't follow through and you can't enforce it because you don't have her on a leash, then that's going to unwind that training very, very quickly for you. So make sure you keep a leash on for the first little while until she's just really, really solidly responding to you, and you and her have that trust and that bond relationship established and that confidence in one another. So that's come. The next command, off. The next command is the first hand signal, and that's a sit. It'll scoop up over to the nose just like that. Good girl. And if it helps you remember, that's how we taught her to sit. We lured her nose up until her butt went down, and then we rewarded her. The next command is our second hand signal, and that's a stay. It's just a stop sign, just like that. Stay. Sit. Stay. Okay, good girl. She has a very solid stay, especially for a puppy, which she's an older puppy now, but she still is technically a puppy, and they've got, some mental maturity to achieve before they're, a full-grown adult. But she holds phenomenal stays, and we've gradually introduced several distractions. We can go in and out of the room. You know, and just continue to build on those distractions slowly, and just expect her to hold that stay. And again, use this leash, have it attached, and so in case she tries to break it, you can hurry and take her right back to where she was and expect her to hold that stay. But she does a phenomenal job with her stays. And that brings us to our third and final hand signal. Come on, Chloe. And that's a down. Start with a sit and then make your hand flat and take it down to the floor. Down. Good girl. Good girl. Stay. Stay. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Yeah, I went ahead and ended it, but she can just keep going and going and going. She has an awesome, awesome downstay. Very, very solid, which has just really been accelerating with her age the last couple months and that maturity. It just enables her to hold a lot longer stay with more and more intense distractions. So yeah, that's the down stay. So we've done come, sit, stay, down, down, stay. The next one I'm going to show you is sending her into her crate on command. Come on, crate. Okay, good girl. And I did stick my hand in there, but I didn't toss anything in. I didn't throw anything in. I just pointed where I wanted to go, and I made sure I looked into the crate so she knows what's expected of her. And I said the verbal command crate. And a lot of time and care has gone into making sure these puppies are comfortable and calm and relaxed in their crate. And it's going to be one of your most handy training tools that you can have, and management tools, just to, you know, if you have to take your eyes off her for a little while, or you need to leave the house for a couple of hours, you can just put her in her crate and you don't have to worry about her. You don't have to worry about her tearing up your furniture. You don't have to worry about her having house training accidents. It helps with their anxiety. It helps with so many things. We as humans, we have a claustrophobic instinct, which means we get panicky and insecure in tight spaces. And dogs are the opposite. They have a denning instinct, which means they get a lot of security and a lot of comfort being in a tight space. So if you work on a regular basis or whatever, being in that crate helps her feel comfortable and secure, and helps to keep out from, unnecessary stimulation all around her that can get her wound up or stressed or whatever. So make sure you continue to get a lot of use out of a crate. That'll help you and help her quite a bit. So we'll send her in on command, and then when she gets out, she has to wait for your permission before she comes out. Okay, good girl. I showed you drop it. The next one, watch me. Okay, good girl, is watch me. And this is another foundational command, and it can be a life-saving command. If she's headed out into traffic, if she's chasing a cat, maybe you drop something on the floor you don't want her to get. All you're looking for with watch me is you want to get her eye contact very, very quickly and break her focus on whatever she's looking at and get her focus on you. And the reason this is such a powerful command is because, dogs are not natural multitaskers. We as humans, we can look at one thing and be thinking about something completely different at the same time. Dogs are not capable of that. Whatever their eyes are on is 100% where their mind is at, even if it's just for a very short amount of time, which it usually is. And so if you have the ability to distract her from any distraction, or the ability to get her eyes on you no matter what in a hurry, then that's very, very powerful, because then she's forgotten all about what she was looking at, and now she's looking at you, and then it can free you up to hurry and follow up with another command or get her focused on something else before she turns her focus back on whatever that was you wanted to distract her from. So that's Watch Me. And I really recommend that you maintain that and you just keep it super, super sharp by asking for it several times a day and following up with nothing more than a very high value reward, which a lot of times, you know, it doesn't always have to be food. It can be a toy. We use toys quite a bit, or affection, or attention, or whatever else. But just on that note, you'll probably notice that we do use a lot of food in our training program, and that is for a specific reason. When I first started training, come here, girl. Come here. Sit down. Good girl. When I first started training, I really worried about treat spoiling dogs. I didn't want my dogs to be dependent on me having food on me all the time to be obedient. I just wanted them to be obedient. But what I found taking dogs up through advanced obedience is that if you can reward with a very high value reward, which for dogs, food is a no-brainer. That's way up high on their priority list for motivations. If you can follow up with a high value reward as close to 100% of the time as possible whenever you give a command, what you're going to do is you're going to push those behaviors into automatic behaviors in about the first 8 to 12 months of their life. And it kind of becomes almost a muscle memory thing, to the point that when you give a command, their body will respond before their mind even has a chance to think about it. And that is the time that you can start to slowly phase out the food. My personal dog is about 6, well, he's about 7 now, and he responds the first time every time I ask, and he only gets a food reward maybe once a week, just to kind of say thank you and to keep him coming. And that's the level you want to get at. But what happens is if you phase those food rewards out too soon, or if you're very inconsistent with using them, or very predictable and he always knows when you have food on you and that's when you're going to reward him, and when you don't have food on you, he knows you're not going to reward him, then you do create a treat spoiled dog, and you kind of build that on and off switch into them where they're dependent on you having food for them to be obedient, which that can be very, very inconvenient. So the key is make sure that you're very, very consistent for the first several months with them being at your house. And it is convenient. I mean, it's inconvenient for the first little while, but just remember that is an investment for the 15 years to come. That if you can just push those behaviors into the muscle memory stage, into that automatic response, then you can phase out the food rewards and you won't be dependent on having treats on you all the time to get good solid obedience. And plus also at that age is when they mature to the point that their relationship with you matures, and they do kind of develop a little bit of a sense of ethics to where they're doing it because that's what you expect of them and that they respect you. So that's just a note on the rewards. So we've done come, sit, stay, down, stay, crate, drop it, watch me. The final command is go to bed. Come here, go to bed. This is kind of a small bed. She barely fits on it still. She needs a little bit of a bigger bed. This is a puppy bed. But when she's on her bed, I don't care what position she's in, sitting, standing, or lying down. I just want her to be completely on her bed when I send her there. And when I send her to her bed, it's an implied stay. She has to stay until she's released. And just like with everything else, we've built lots of distractions in and lots of time. And you just need to continue to build on that. Keep asking for more time. Okay, good girl. More distractions. And if you have a natural downtime during the day, when you just kind of watch TV or read or whatever, I really recommend you use that time to build up your down stays on the bed. Send her to bed on command. Go to bed. Good girl. Have a hold of her leash and just build that up. And you can easily get to 1 to 2 hours with heavy distractions within her first year. Good girl. But always have a hold of this leash so in case she is tempted to break it, just like that, you can correct her and expect her to stay on her bed until she's released. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Yeah, and she would have held it longer. She's got phenomenal stays, but that just shows you what to expect with the go to bed command. So briefly, I'm just going to talk to you about house training and leash training. The house training, she's been taught to ring a bell on the door to go outside, and she's at the age now where she's pretty solid on her house training. She hasn't had an accident or attempted an accident in the home for several months, and the key is just that when you get home, that you give her plenty of opportunities to follow through with the routine at your home. Have her ring the bell and go out and go potty in a specific area and reward her for that. Do that several times so that she knows what to do when she feels the urge. She knows how to communicate to you, and she's not just left to kind of just figure that out on her own. So go through that routine. I recommend you take, like your phone and set an alarm for every 30 minutes or so, and just take her through the whole routine. Take her out, give her an opportunity to go, so that you get several repetitions in those first few days, and she knows what to do when she needs to go potty. But she's done a phenomenal job. She's done awesome. She's expected to sleep in the crate for a full 8 to 10 hours at night without needing a potty break, and she's done great at that. So that's what to expect with the house training. Briefly, with the leash training, you want her to kind of maintain this J shape in the leash and always make sure she has a job when she's on a short leash with you, meaning she's paying attention to you, and when you stop, you want her to sit so that she's not just kind of left with a void, that she actually has a job and has something to do. Let's go. So the command to walk is let's go. And you want her to change directions when you change directions and walk where you walk. And then when you stop, good girl, just ask for a sit. Good girl, just like that. Let's go. Sit. Good. Let's go. Sit. Sit. Good girl. And if she lunges ahead, I want to keep her in a sit. Sit. You go. Sit. Good girl. I want her to stay in a sit until I'm ready to go again. If she lunges ahead on the leash or wants to chase something, the best thing to do is to stop. Just plant yourself. And here, sit. Come on, girl. Sit. Sit. Good girl. If she lunges ahead, just stop and plant yourself, and don't move at all until she comes back to you and puts that slack and that J shape back in the leash. And so you don't want her to push through and continue to walk with that pressure on her collar, or that's going to teach her to pull on a leash. And anyway, she's very, very responsive. When she lunges ahead, I just stop and I say easy, and she backs up and comes to me, and just get her refocused on you before you move ahead. And take her mind off the distraction, move another direction if you have to, or else put yourself between her and whatever is distracting her, and move forward quickly, and just make sure that she's always paying attention to you. And that's called attention walking, and she's, that takes quite a bit of time and training, but she's done really, really well. We've walked her in all kinds of environments, all kinds of conditions, city, country, traffic, trucks, dump trucks, everything you can think of, and she's done a really great job. So she is a golden retriever, and golden retrievers are naturally sensitive, and so, with really loud sounds and really big scary things, she might jump a little and jitter a little, but it's nothing more than what you'd expect from any typical golden retriever. And she's just done a really, really good job. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for our training demonstration. We've really enjoyed her, and down. Good girl. And that's it. Thanks.